Hello once again, class. Great to be back. Today we're kind of going over another infection because I am still on my zombie craze and I'm riding it high, baby. But anyway, today we are going over the Rage virus from the 28 Days Later franchise. Now, don't worry, if you haven't seen any of the films yet, especially the most recent one, I will not be going into any spoilers for the films. Maybe I'll do a sort of a film review on the trilogy eventually, but not today. Today, I'm just going over the Rage virus itself, what it does, how it came about. So, I suppose the only thing I'll be spoiling from the films is how the Rage virus came about, so to speak. And I also won't be diving into the comics at all, one, just because I don't want to spoil them in case you haven't read them, but also because they're not canon to the franchise as a whole. But, without further ado, let's get into the Rage virus. Now, it is important to remember that the Rage virus does not turn you into a zombie, so to speak, anyway, in the traditional sense. What I mean by that is that it does not kill you and resurrect you. It does not turn you into a shambling corpse or anything like that. You are not undead when you are infected with the Rage virus. So, technically, these are just sick, infected people. Now, they do kinda follow sort of a bare bones representation or definition of a zombie, that they're infected people with something, they hunt you down, they bite you, and so on and so forth, but they're not zombies in the undead shambling corpses sense. Now, the infection itself is bloodborne. It is a bloodborne pathogen. So that means the only way for the infection to spread is from blood that has been infected. And this can enter the body from any kind of way. If infected blood gets into a wound, you're infected. If infected blood gets into your eyes, ears, nose, or mouth, you are infected. Which makes it all the more dangerous, in my opinion, as it also infects within seconds. That's right. You don't get bit and then get sick for a couple of days before eventually turning. You don't have time to reconcile. You don't have time to go out in one last blaze of glory because you're already dead anyway. No. You're gone within seconds. Did a drop of blood get in your eye? You're done. Did an infected bite you? That's it. There is no cure, and there is no glorious last stand. You're yourself 1 second, and then the next. Every emotion you ever felt, every experience you've ever had, is replaced with pure, unfiltered, unregulated rage in its purest base form. What also makes the fact that it's bloodborne so dangerous is that the virus, when it infects someone, is that it ruptures your capillaries, basically the blood vessels that transport blood throughout your body. And the reason why this makes the infection so much easier to spread is that because these are ruptured, blood leaks out from infected people's eyes, nose, ears, mouths. They vomit blood often, and it also gives them a horrifying appearance of bloodshot eyes, with the color of their eyes also turning red. You can see why this makes it so dangerous, of course, since blood is constantly dripping out of them, or they're vomiting it up. They don't even technically need to break your skin. An infected could tackle you by surprise at one point, vomits its blood on you, and then you're just done. And one thing that is also interesting about the virus is that it seems to be able to recognize other infected individuals, which is strange. You would think beings of completely infested rage would simply attack anything and everything, yet we can see that they don't attack other infected individuals. Which lends a hint that there might still be some kind of intelligence in there. They also don't really seem all that particular in whether or not they spread the infection or just simply kill whoever their target is, as whenever they see a non-infected person, they will book it towards them with all of their might and simply try and kill them. If they get infected before the final killing blow is struck, then they stop and leave them alone. But they don't really seem to care if they spread or not. They just simply feel rage. And because of this, they have two other things that are both weaknesses and also strengths. Possibly some of their greatest strength is that they have this insane level of adrenaline. Since they are basically angry all of the time, this allows them to perform relatively crazy feats for an individual. They'll run a lot faster than a normal person. They'll be able to lift a bit heavier things since they're hopped up on their own adrenaline constantly. They'll jump over cars if they need to. They'll run at you in these massive hordes at a dead sprint. And they also have no self-preservation at all. If one is on a rooftop and they see you on the ground, they'll sprint at you all the same and probably just leap off the dang thing. They'll run at you no matter what. They could see you holding a gun and they'll still just sprint at you in a dead sprint, regardless of if they have a chance at succeeding or not. They'll run straight through a window. They won't waste time banging on the window or try and find a door or an open entrance. They'll just run straight through the glass panes, regardless if it hurts them or not. They have no fear, no concept of pain or wanting to avoid pain. They don't care. They are just so hopped up on their own rage and adrenaline and coming after you specifically that they will do anything and everything to get at you. Now, with that all being said, how did this come about? How did this happen in the world of 28 Days Later? How did something so horrible, so horrifying, so unrelenting even come about? Well, you know what they say. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. It started in Cambridge, in the UK, specifically in England, if you don't know where Cambridge is. People were experimenting on chimps to study and manipulate human emotions. Now, it sounds bad on the surface, and I'm sure you can easily see where something like this could devolve into hell on its own, even without the infection it eventually became. But basically what they wanted to do was be able to regulate human rage, control it. Basically make a cure for anger, in a way. You can see where this could go. This could lead to peace in a bottle, basically. It could lead to world peace the world over. No more hate. No more rage. Sounds good on the surface. But, as a scientist in the film said, to cure, you first must understand. And so, these chimps were infected with aggression. The virus was man-made. They made rage in its purest, unfiltered form and gave it to these chimps in order to hopefully cure it, to understand rage in its purest form. Without going into spoilers for the film, it does get out. And we can also see that this virus is not exclusive to humans. After all, it started in chimps. Who's to say it didn't also infect dogs, or cats, or horses, or anything, really? Maybe some animals are immune, or it hasn't mutated to be able to jump to them yet, but maybe they aren't. After all, it can jump from chimps to humans, and sure, we share a lot of similar things, and that is how certain viruses have spread in our real world. But it raises a lot of horrifying questions for where it could go. One last little note that I'll leave us all on here. There is at least some hope for people who are trapped in this infection. At least unless the most recent film changed that. But, you see, it doesn't turn them into a cannibal, that being the infection. So, like I said, they don't have any self-preservation. They don't eat. They don't seek out water. They don't eat their victims or anything like that. Like I said, it's just rage. So, aside from possibly getting some meat when they bite into somebody, they have no sense of preserving themselves, meaning they will eventually starve themselves out or get themselves killed in some other kind of way. And also, since they aren't shambling corpses, they are technically just infected people. So, well, a shot to the head will obviously still do the job. A well-placed shot to the body from a gun will also do the trick, or, like I said, falling from a great height, or getting in a good strike with a good melee weapon if you're lucky enough, or setting them on fire will also do the job just fine. So, there is at least a ray of hope with this world. But that's where I'm going to leave us off today. If you really enjoyed this lecture, perhaps I'll go into the films themselves sometime, especially with the new one that came out recently. But that's for another time. And so, until next time.